For new vocal duo the Singing Contractors, the name pretty much sums it up. After a video of the men singing How Great Thou Art on a construction site went viral, the two contractors went from singing on the job to singing as their job seemingly overnight. Now the men's explosive two-part harmonies and dynamic personalities are winning ovations from audiences and critics nationwide. From swinging hammers to singing songs, Josh Arnett and Aaron Gray, now known as the Singing Contractors, are my latest guests on CCM Magazine's Features on Film. I'm your host, Andrew Greer. So, Aaron Gray, Josh Arnett, the Singing Contractors. Now, I think what a cool world that we live in, that you could literally be singing on your job and that transform into singing as your day job. Yeah. Did you ever dream?
No.
No, we never dreamed that.
Because in the beginning it started out as kind of a joke. We was just singing for fun and laughing and giggling because most of the time it sounded terrible.
It did.
I don't know. I've heard you guys. It doesn't seem that way.
We have some videos to prove that.
We do.
So,
Like, what does the fox say?
Nice. We'll do that
very
later.
good.
Yeah, exactly.
Really good.
But really, houses became like your rehearsal hall, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's where you honed your craft.
It did, because people have asked us before, where do you guys practice? And
we don't practice.
We don't, but
We
if we
just
do,
sing
it's
it.
on the job.
I want to take us back to on the job first, because I mean, you're kind of this novelty right now. You know, these guys who have incredible harmonies, incredible singers, but contractors by day for years and years and years. And thinking about working like with your hands. And my dad, grew up in Texas. He had a wood shop behind our house, and he was a therapist, but his therapy was working in the shop with his hands. Do you find that that is part of, you know, your profession till now? Has working with your hands been a sort of therapy?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We like taking things that that you can't see, the normal person couldn't see it, and when we're done, we have a finished product. And it's exciting to see that, because that's what I actually enjoy to do, and I'm sure Aaron does too.
Well, when you're married, you have to have a place to run to. And I run to my barn, whether it's a welder or a table saw or a hammer, I'm doing something, and I love it. It's a way to decompress.
Sure, and a way to sort things out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to sort out. And I think you talk about completion, like seeing a project from beginning to end. There's something, I heard someone say recently that we were designed for completion. Like, that's a spiritual thing. And there's so many things in our lives that we don't really get to bring to completion, or we're only a part of the process. So to be a part of these projects, I mean, I don't want to make it too spiritual, but do you feel like there's something kind of a little even more thoughtful and headier than just someone hired me, I get the job done, in that process of work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because in our own spiritual lives, we feel the same way. We feel like we're nothing without God. But we do see that there can be something, and we know that there is going to be something, but yet we're still not to where we want to be. And we know that He's still working on us, just like we're still working on a building. And I feel that in my own life, but I want to strive to be the best I can every day, because I want to honor Him and uplift Him every day. And so I would agree with you.
He's like the great handyman, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jesus is the master builder.
And He's working on us to create that finished product. And like He said, we're a work in progress. And we're by no means perfect, but a lot of times we started our day out with something that is broke, and by the time we leave, it's fixed. And I wish our lives could be that simple. And I think we make it complicated, and we make it to where God can't do His work as quick as He can, because we complicate things. But I'm thankful that He's able.
He is.
And that He's working on me.
I mean, do you think that's part of the process? Do you think we'll ever really be fully completed?
I don't think so until we get to heaven.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he is the only one that is perfect, and but we can strive, and you know, that is my ultimate goal, right?
And I think that, you know, applies to like music is something you have. I don't know if you've necessarily learned it, but I think it's also therapeutic, and it's something you probably learned how therapeutic it is by singing to audiences. So equally, like this hard work, I think there's a place to go to your barn and run to and decompress while you're also working things out here, you're working things out here. Has music also become kind of an element of therapy, working things out?
It is, because when we go to work, sometimes we're in homeowners' houses that we can't be singing loud or anything like that. We can also put the earbuds in. And we can flip on the songs that minister to us. And that is what gets us and motivates us through the day. So music is a big part of our life, and the songs and what they mean, lyrics to them. And it's not just always the music, it's the lyrics. And so when we get the opportunity to sing the song, we hope that our music does the same thing to somebody else.
And what you said, I feel like that a lot of times when I get most encouraged is when I'm trying to encourage people out in the audience, and something will speak to me that I've never even thought of. I'm like, man, I just said that, and I need to apply that to my own life, you know. And so that's definitely true. Music is a huge part of our life.
There's something really reciprocal about the process of sharing music, in whatever that is, whether I'm in an audience or whether I'm on a stage or whether I'm listening to my earbuds. And you guys aren't new to music. I've heard that you grew up singing on the road in family bands, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Or being drugged by the family, too.
Yeah. Was it always your choice? Did you want to be in the family band?
Not really, because I mean, my mom would say we would stand around the piano and learn songs, and I'd want to be, you know, run around the corner and start going outside. Buddy, I'm serious. I've mini switchings.
Yeah.
You know what switchings are?
I think I experienced
And
one
then
or
if
two.
the switching didn't work, it's get Dad to do the belt.
Yeah. And then when you get Dad involved, it's over.
All he had to do is just look at you.
Right. And you sang.
Oh, you sang.
And you let it rip.
Better believe it.
That's exactly right. You've been married for 25 years.
23.
23 years. So you're coming up on a quarter century of marriage.
He's the
You've been married.
Almost.
Okay, almost 25
Months
years.
away.
And he's older than me too, as you can tell.
Yeah. I can tell
the
you.
Lord.
Actually,
More
I would have no
wisdom.
idea. Yeah. More wisdom, experience. But you, with marriage, I don't remember who it was I was reading that said this, but that your marriage really survived, you felt like, and maybe this is true for both of you, that marriage is hard, number one, and number two, that it survived because of you and your wives' individual relationships with God. You have a relationship with God. Your wife has a relationship with God. And so then you're able to come. I mean, I think we live in a culture almost that marriage, I think we still perpetuate the idea that marriage is a completion of a person rather than maybe a companion to a person, right? And so with that, then I think we also go, okay, we're going to center our marriage around God, and that's going to keep us intact. But what I've experienced by observing marriages and seeing like my parents' marriages, and then hearing one of you say this, I don't remember who it was, but that each of us have a relationship with God. Each of us interact with God, and then we come back to the table with our individual experiences together, and that sustains it. Does that resonate with you as far as what you've experienced in your marriages?
Absolutely. And in marriage, I don't care what anybody says, it's tough. And for 20-some years being with the same person, when you're in and out, spiritually speaking, the things begin to happen and get a hold of you that you're not expecting. But it's all about keeping your marriage centered around God to bring you together, because without Him, you see yourselves just going this way. But it's with Him that you can draw it together. And I'm thankful for His drawing power and forgiving power, and I'm glad He brought us together, and He's keeping us together. And it's only by His grace. So.
Has that been your experience?
One thing I feel like is my wife has been my rock, and it's not always been easy. We've had our ups and downs, but what I find encouraging is in the workplace every day, in construction especially, it's a lot of times a lot of people consider us kind of the lower end of guys, whether it be painters, contractors. Everybody's rough around the edges. And we see a lot, you tell people what you think, but what I find is I come home, and even in my lowest times spiritually, I would always see my wife, whether it be in the evening or the morning, she was always reading her Bible. She still does it every day. And she she's not perfect, but she's an amazing lady. And she has really, I've probably never told her this, but I am so impressed that through everything we've gone through, she continues to read the Word of God, and she lives a good life as an example to me. And we have tried since we got married 23 years ago to always pray and read our Bible even with our kids every night. And my dad always told me, have your devotions, have your devotions. Because every night growing up, no matter what happened, no matter how late we got home from a sing, my dad would come in and he would kneel down and start praying. Whether we was praying or not, he was praying, thanking God for traveling mercies and stuff. So it's played a huge impact on my life. And I think if I didn't have her, where would I be, you know? Because she's my rock, you know, so.
There's a quiet observation of other people's faith walks, journeys, their relationship, their very personal relationship with God, that actually I think influences and bolsters our own desire to have a personal relationship with God. So it's interesting to hear you just talking about just observing. It's not that she was reading the Bible to you. It's not that she was preaching to you or saying, do this, you should, you shouldn't, but really just the influence of her example has created in you a desire, is what I'm hearing, to also pursue God. Yeah. There's a song that you chose for the record, at least that's what I hear. He saw what I could be. It's a long title. Oh no, is this you? Yeah. Well, who's married and who's, okay. So you're the marriage 25 years and you're the one who picked the whole cathedral song.
I'm Jace.
Yeah, you're Jeers, he's Aaron. So
you said Jeers.
Hey, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a new one.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate it. So Aaron, okay, so you picked this old cathedral song, which a lot of people will be familiar with. And it's a long title, like the original one. What is it?
He saw not what I was.
Not what I was.
He saw what I could be.
He saw what I can be. The first lyric of that whole song, a loser without direction, I drifted aimlessly.
Absolutely.
Is that why you picked it?
Well, the loser part. I was an
That's why
absolute loser.
my wife picked it. No, I'm kidding.
That's what our wife
She didn't suggest Bible verses, but she said this song. That's you, buddy.
Or our kids say we're losers. No.
No.
But yeah, that song, I love that song, and grew up singing it with my family. And when I grew up singing it, never thought anything about it.
The lyric.
But once I got married, had kids, and was in life, we started going to this little church, and they knew I could sing, and they asked me and a couple other guys to sing. And we was trying to figure out what to sing, you know, and I said, what about this old song? He saw not what I was. So we sang it. Ended up, we sang that every Sunday for like 3 or 4 years. The pastor loved it. And, but through that times, I started having hard times myself in life. And man, that song it's my testimony. Yeah. And I mean, if people look at you, because people just automatically judge you. If people would look at what I was, they wouldn't want anything to do with me. But he saw not what I was, he saw what I could be. And that's why it amazes me that he's even using me to share his message. It blows my mind, but I'm thankful.
Yeah.
It's interesting how songs, more than, at least for me, and I grew up in the church, I remember songs and lyrics of songs, maybe because they're tied to melodies, and so it has a way, right, of memory is easier. They're easier to call on for me than sometimes in scriptures, maybe that I've known since I was a child, but especially more than like a sermon. I mean, I can't tell you how many sermons I've heard, and I cannot remember.
I know.
Right.
You know, and I'm listening. A song, you know, that is saying many songs that we're talking about now and that are on this record, Work on a Building, are songs that say as much or more than many sermons I've heard, and they resonate, you know, in an ongoing way.
And they're shorter than a sermon, too.
Thank God, right? You know? Tell him to wrap it up. I'm always doing this to my pastor, you know?
That's
wrap
cool.
it up.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, themed throughout this whole conversation, but themed throughout the story of you guys and what brought you to the table to this new record is work. I mean, there was sweat equity. Even as kids growing up, and traveling with your families singing.
Yeah.
There's sweat equity there. You know, you're setting up, you're tearing down. There was all this, you know, labor that was put into creating successful contractor businesses, and now the successful business of the Singing Contractors. There's all kinds of work. This right here, you know, is work. Do you think there's a spiritual component to just simple hard work?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah, hard work pays off. And even that with spiritualness is the more you put in, the more you receive. The more you wake up, read your daily devotions, the more you pray, the more you seek God, the more you get out of it. And we have found that out. You know, the times that you've got too busy where you haven't, you've realized that you've slacked off on your devotions and things, and you haven't received as much as you should have. And before you know it, you find yourself sifting or drifting or whatever. But the more you put in, the more you get. And I believe that 100%.
You said it, buddy.
That's right, that's done. Okay, wrap it up. Think about this. If you only had one option, okay, the two of you, you got one option. You can either hammer out a house or you can hammer out a song. Which is it going to be?
I'm going to do a song.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then I'd say you're in the right place.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. We still love to work, but
Can we do a song with the tool belt on, though?
well, that helps us.
Yeah. So really, you can't have one without the other, can you?
Right.
It's interesting how our stories, all of our story, plays into where we are now and where we're going, I think, forever.
That's right.
So we'll have you sing a little bit. How about that?
All right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Farther along, we'll know all about it, and farther along, we'll understand why. Cheer up, my brother. We're gonna live in the sunshine, and we'll understand